Suddenly, your world changes. You're in a place you never imagined. You don't feel like yourself anymore. You feel alone, but you're not. Other people with spinal cord injuries know exactly what you're going through because they've been there themselves. They are the voices of experience, and they can help you get through this. If you're a woman with a new spinal cord injury, you're probably wondering what sex and dating will be like. Here's what some other women have discovered.
I actually just started dating a guy. Yeah, but he's actually been my neighbor for 10 years. And then after my accident, he was the one that stayed close to me. He's actually the one that's helped me more than anybody throughout this whole thing. So we actually just started dating in June to try it out. So I'm excited.
I would love to date. I was single prior to my injury, but I was in the prime of my dating. I was 42 years old. And I was dating, you know, I didn't have a significant other, but you know, I would meet guys and we go out for coffee or things like that. But there was no special someone, but I would love for him to find me. I really would, so.
I had a boyfriend at the time. That didn't last very long. We broke up a month after I got back to school. And so it was, you know, then I was like, well, no one's gonna love me anymore because, you know, obviously he couldn't. So, you know, for a while it was really, you know, threw me for a loop and I didn't know how to be.
I've been doing the online dating thing recently because people don't approach me, and I don't know how much is that because I'm pretty and that's intimidating, or because I'm in a wheelchair and that's intimidating, and you just put them together and that's a lot of intimidating for folks. But at the same time, it's not like I would want to date somebody who wouldn't have the nerve to approach me, you know what I mean? So I feel like it weeds out a lot of the assholes because, you know, if the chair is going to be an issue, I want to know up front that the chair is an issue, so.
A skill that's been helpful to me is you've got to be the one to make people feel okay when they're nervous about, or they feel like your disability is, it's awkward to them. Often in their head, no one ever thinks they're going to date someone with a disability. And so again, you've got to feel comfortable enough to be open about it, to provide education, to communicate, and answer the inevitable questions that people are going to have for you.
Yeah, they put us in a class and it was pretty much, you can still have sex, you can still have babies. And I was like, is there anything else? And anyway, but when you get to the point where you're trying to start a new relationship or something like that, I think it's a common anxiety that you don't feel attractive. You don't feel like somebody who's non-disabled is going to be interested in dating a person in a wheelchair. I struggle with that. Everyone I've talked to has struggled with that in some ways. But I've also been told that many people met their spouses or started their families after a spinal cord injury.
You know, I was 44 when I had my accident. I was married, I had children, I knew what sex was like, I knew what good sex was. Now, I have to say that while sex can be very good, it's not the same for me. For other people perhaps, but for my body and my sensation, what I'm able to enjoy and feel, it's not the same, but it's good. And that's what's important.
I didn't think I had any feeling for over 5 years. And it's just, I was devastated by that. And then discovering I did have feeling, it's just different, you know. So that was quite an experience.
I guess the best advice for me came many years later, where somebody said, you know, you just explore all areas of your body. Don't make an assumption because you can't feel it, it might not be a sexual spot or whatever. You know, you just need to be adventurous and try anything.
So first of all, sex is important, dating is important, and the first thing I bring out is we need to talk about it. It's not, you know, we need to get past that like, oh my gosh, I want to talk about sex. Yeah, let's talk about it, let's figure it out. It's an important part of being a human being. I think open communication is key. If you find a partner or start dating, being comfortable talking about what you need, what you want, and from a dating and intimacy perspective, I think is really important.
The vast majority of people with spinal cord injury say that sex is very enjoyable, but they describe it orgasm as a psychological orgasm rather than a genital orgasm. So it's very important for them to communicate what feels good to them. And they may not know at the beginning. It may take some experimentation. A lot of partners say to me, oh, it's kind of like having sex for the first time. We get to re-experiment. And very definitely it can be like that. For women with spinal cord injuries, the pillows under the hips is a great idea. It helps with that pelvic tilt. It helps maintain the position. If they don't have great balance and they have really bad spasms, then where's their best balance and where's their spasms the least? It's in their wheelchair. The other thing is they may not lubricate enough. So they may have to use something to help with lubrication. I always encourage people to use what they liked before though. Foreplay is wonderful in that it allows the sensation, it allows the touching, it allows all of that to occur. It just sets the mood, if you will. I think sometimes, just like anybody, we compare everything to the way it's always been or the way it was. Think outside of the box a little bit. Say, oh, maybe I hadn't given that a thought, or maybe that is a way of trying something that I hadn't thought of. And it just gives some people ideas to think out of the box a little bit, opens up people's minds.
For women need to know, yes, I can get pregnant. It certainly is a misconception for many years that women thought they couldn't get pregnant, and definitely can and will. One thing that's really important for women is what we call sexual self-esteem. For someone with spinal cord injury, you definitely have that coming forward. So now your body's changed and your body's different. And what does that mean? Do I still see myself as a sexual being? Do I still feel sexy? Do I still feel lovable? And yes, you are. And how do we recognize that in that process? And some people embrace it much more quickly and have a very rich sex life and have a very rich dating life, and others struggle more.
It takes work within to get yourself confident and comfortable. I think that as early as you can, you should start trying to get back to yourself. It took me a while to get back to dressing nice, you know, trying to care about my hair, care about how I looked. Because to me it didn't matter. I was just, all I saw was I'm a disability. But you have to realize you're just a person that sits in a wheelchair, and you still have a lot to offer somebody.
Well, my husband today, who the intimacy happened with from the very beginning, I never dated anyone except for him. I was so nervous that I sat down with him, and because I was nervous not only for the intimacy, and people in wheelchairs will appreciate this, the other stuff that goes along, the bathroom. You know, you can intermingle the two because they go hand in hand sometimes, because you don't have any control. And so I was so scared that that would interfere that I was like, okay, I sat him down, we were dating, and I was like, okay, sometimes I pee my pants and sometimes I have accidents, you know, and he's like, I don't care, you know, and I'm like, oh wow, you're just like heaven sent. Like, I couldn't believe it. He just didn't care, and he still doesn't.
it was definitely not on my radar. I skipped the sexuality class because it's like, oh my God, you know, that's the last thing on my mind. But I think once you acclimate into living with a spinal cord injury and doing all the things that needed to be done first, you know, I did selfishly think about, you know, where do I go from here as a woman? You know, because I was 37 by then and I still had so much love to give and receive, in my opinion. But you know, I have a finite amount of time. So if I sit around and ask somebody, I mean, if I sit around and wait for someone to ask me, it may take a lot of time. And I may not like that person and so on and so forth. And so I decided to give myself worth. That I wasn't gonna put myself on the clearance rack and that I'm capable of speaking my mind. So I actually did the asking so that I can pick and choose who I wanted to be with.
With sex and intimacy, I think it's really important to take it from where are we right now. Let me get to know you right now. What's working for us now? Let's find the areas that really turn us on. It may be areas that we least expect. And it may be components of our love life that we've never explored before. Don't worry about the past. You have a new opportunity. Make it happen.
Voices of experience. They know, they've lived it. To watch and download the 10-part series, go to facingdisability.com/Voices of Experience videos.